Let's take a look. Good morning. Perfect. All right. Good morning. Good morning. A few minutes late today as I get my love out of the house. Welcome, Tatted Kisses. Good to see you. Blessed morning. Blessed high rising. All the things. All right. So here we go. We're going to do 15 minutes of movement, 15 minutes of meditation roundabout. And we'll usually do an active meditation. By the way, welcome to Morning Flow. My name is Dr. Steele, and this is just a way that I use to start my day every day that I wanted to share with you, especially as we're working through the mind and how to keep the mind healthy and well and keep our mindset in that order. So, all right, so we start off with some movement, and we're just going to do some gentle movement. So I'm going to just roll, we're going to just roll our wrists today. My wrists are kind of stiff. I don't know if I slept kind of funky, right? And really, this first movement of the day is really just that. It's just a gentle movement of the day. It's not really meant to be a workout or anything like that. It's just a nice, gentle movement. All right, so now we're going to get that movement in your elbows, right? So get the movement kind of going in your elbows. And really, it's just about moving your body, right? And accessing different joints. Now we're going to move into the shoulders, right? So add the shoulders in it. Very good. All right. That kind of warms my shoulders up, really. All right. And we're going to go big inhale up. Exhale down. Big inhale up. Exhale down. Big inhale up. Exhale down. Big inhale up. Right, now we're going to hold it at the top. And to the left, nice and gentle, nice and long. Keeping both sides nice and long though. Up and then over. Inhale up. Exhale over to the other side. That always feels so good, especially because sitting behind the computer so much. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, other side. And it's easy to concave down, so make sure that you stay open. You keep that shoulder nice and open. Inhale up. Exhale down. And really work on that expansion all along that side. Right. And inhale back to the center. And exhale, go ahead and move your arms down. All right, we're going to do some shoulder rolls now that we kind of woke our shoulders up. And just some gentle shoulder rolls to the back. And gentle forward shoulder rolls now. Nice. And go ahead and shake your arms out. All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit of chest and neck stretching. I'm going to put my hair up so it's out of the way. And in the meantime, while I do that, go ahead and inhale. And then you're going to just pull down just ever so gently on the exhale. And then you're going to inhale and then keep it nice and long while I exhale, pull that counter contraction down. There we go. All right. to center. One more time. Big inhale. Exhale, pull down. And come back to center. Very good. All right, so now we're going to go inhale left, exhale right, right? Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. All right, so now on the inhale, you're going to go kind of gently opposite direction. So inhale, exhale, and just open that up, other side. So we're kind of going opposing. You're stretching that side, but opening up on this side. And hold. And come back to center, right? Shake it out. Same thing on the other side. We're going to inhale, exhale, counterbalance, hold, right? So center, inhale, exhale, and remember counterbalance down, kind of away, so you're pushing in opposite directions. And it's normal to feel it in other places of your body too, because remember we talked about that fascia, which is just your memory, all your muscle memories. And back to the center. All right, shake it out. Wonderful. Yay. All right. A little bit of rolls here. All right, now we're going to finish out with some cat-cows just to get our spine, and we'll do some wobbles with our hips just to kind of get those open. And we may even do a hamstring stretch if I feel up to it. All right, so we'll do 3 cat-cows. So inhale up for cow, exhale down for cat. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and hold the exhale out. Hold, hold, hold. Very good. And inhale, hold the inhale, and come back to neutral. All right, perfect. Now we're going to wobble with our hips. We're just going to kind of go into a little bit of a circle and really just trying to get the blood flow going and just get, again, our chakras kind of open up. So really kind of go in a circle. They have these little discs actually you can put on your chair, and it'll help you to kind of do this motion and help you. Really is a good ab workout actually if you do it properly. Maybe one day we'll do like some stomach vacuums and stuff. All right. So we just opened that up and warmed all that up. So now finally, we're gonna do a hamstring stretch. So I'm gonna stand up kind of off to the side here and then kind of coax you through. All right, so stand up. All right, here we go, off to the side. So we're gonna inhale up and exhale down. My hamstrings are so tight. We're going to inhale up again. Exhale down. And one more time. Big inhale. Exhale down. All right, back up. I literally could do that all day, like for real, all day. My hamstrings are so tight. All right, so now we're going to move into meditation. So this week we're all working on the subconscious mind. Today we're going to be talking about perception in the afternoon. So definitely check us out on whatever platform you're streaming us on right now. We'll talk a little bit more about how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive the world, but really how we perceive ourselves and how that impacts the world. So one of the things that we don't really see in the subconscious mind is our inner child, right? And our inner child makes all sorts of decisions for us without us being aware. So, this particular meditation is designed to really help connect you back with your inner child, right? We're not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to connect with our inner child. We're going to breathe with our inner child, and we're just going to love our inner child. So that's all, really. Hey, Queen, welcome. So that's our meditation for the today, okay? So guided meditation. So just get comfortable, whatever feels good. And your eyes can be open or closed. I'm going to kind of go back and forth. All right, ready, get centered, and just a few deep breaths here. And exhale. And just settle in. And big inhale. And exhale. And one more breath. Big inhale. And exhale. And just gently allow your eyes to shutter closed. And you're going to visualize, imagine, picture, and pretend with your logic, your voice, your reason, your very keen and specific decision making. You are going to decide, right, that you see yourself. So see yourself as you are now in your mind's eye. And as you connect with yourself, right, almost as a higher self, right, notice where you are. Notice what you feel like. Notice what your body feels like. And activate your senses. What do you see? What do you touch? What do you smell? And as you get connected, light body, you can feel light or heavy or grounded. I don't think there's really, I like to feel grounded and centered. That makes me feel safe. If I feel too light and I'm too floaty, I don't like that. I'm an Aquarius, by the way. We have to stay out of the float. All right. So now that you are with yourself, right? Go ahead and visualize yourself as a child, right? And take as much time as you need, but see yourself as a child. And with that same old kind of vivid nature that you saw yourself before, activating your senses. When you see yourself as a child, how do you look? How do you feel? What do you smell like? Right? Repeat after me, I see you. And you're going to say this to your inner child, I see you. Repeat after me, I hear you. I acknowledge you. I love you. I accept you. Now, it's okay if your inner child is close or far away, because you can say these things regardless. So sometimes if your inner child has been really traumatized, your inner child may be far away, they may not be looking at you. All of those things are okay, right? This is just about you connecting, not really about forcing or making anything happen, right? It's just about you connecting. Because a lot of your perception has to do with this inner child. So if you've never really worked with your inner child, this is just a good place to start. And if he, she, or they want you to get close, feel free. If they want you to stay away, respect that, honor that, protect those boundaries. And in any case, just have a gentle conversation. Good to see you. I love you. Really anything that you feel like you need to say to your inner child right now. Oh, thank you. Anything at all that you need to say. And if your inner child feels safe, ask the child, do you feel comfortable with a hug? And if so, gently give your child a hug. And if not, it's okay. Say thank you and just be with the child. Remember, this isn't about forcing or making anything happen. This is about honoring your child right where your child is. And sometimes for the first time, this honoring, this loving, and a lot of times for the first time, hearing the things that need to be said. And also listening. So now that we've spoken, now we're going to ask, how are you feeling? What do you need? What do you want? And we're going to listen. And we're going to hear. And we're going to acknowledge. And we're going to accept. And we're just going to be in whatever state that we find our child in. And we know that we can always come back to this place. We can always come back to this moment. Always. And it's starting to rain. My tin roof is going to get loud. All right. So when you start to feel ready, and only when you feel ready, right? Go ahead and tell your inner child, thank you, I honor you, I love you, I accept you. And give your inner child just a little bow. Just a bow of honor, of respect, of gratitude, of love, of encouragement. Just give your inner child that last little bit of support. And then go ahead and get back into yourself. Big inhale. Exhale, big inhale, exhale, last inhale, and exhale, relax. Eyes open, wide awake, eyes open, wide awake, eyes open, wide awake. Wonderful. So, yay. So our inner child, wherever our inner child was at, right? So, whether that child was sad, mad, glad, happy, whatever, right? It's really about accepting and connecting, right? And as we work through this week, the subconscious mind, we recognize that whatever our subconscious mind perceives, it's totally fine, right? We're not going to argue with the subconscious mind. We're rather just going to accept as is, right? And what we don't realize is this subconscious mind and partly this inner child is making our decisions for us, right? From either the healed or the unhealed place that it is, right? And so if we want to transform areas of our life, it is necessary for us to really focus in on these parts of ourselves that are hurting, that need attention, that need love, right? The subconscious mind and the conscious mind have to agree for change to happen, right? So we talked about all last week the primitive mind and more of our instinctual survival mechanisms, right? That our nervous system takes over. And now we get more into the psychology and more into our thinking and more into the past, right? But we don't want to get into the story of the past, right? Because if we start getting too attached to the story, it's going to be more difficult to let it go. So what do I mean about the story, right? So there's a story that we tell ourselves about things, right? He felt this and I felt that, and da, da, da. You fill in all the blanks, right? You don't really know what he felt, or really even sometimes what you felt in the moment, but you're filling in the gap, right? And then there is the actual objective piece of what it actually is. So meaning like I said this, he said that, they said this, I said this, etc. Like a movie script. So in this journaling segment, we're going to try this out, right? So we're going to transition to that part of our morning flow. And so we're going to take a situation that we have had a difficult experience with, right? Whether that is a person, a place, a situation, a circumstance, or event, something that was really frustrating for us, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to, in our journal, right? And for this one, you can use your trash journal. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Definitely you want to get a couple different journals. Right now we're working with a trash journal and a treasure journal, and then your day planner. I know that's a lot going on. Otherwise, you can just grab whatever and kind of, pull yourself along. There is a link in the bio. You can download a little page and follow along with us as we kind of move through. But nonetheless, right, if you're just grabbing a piece of paper, we're going to, again, take a situation, right, that you're struggling with or you're stressed out about or thinking about or whatever. And what I want you to do is I want you to visualize that last interaction that you had with that person or situation. And I want you to write down the what is, right? Meaning like, if somebody picked this up, they would know exactly what's going on. The what is, right? No story, no opinion, no I felt this, no they did this, not just literally what was said, what was done, right? And not your story about why they did what they did, but more so just black and white. They walked from here to there. They went to the bathroom. They went to the gym. They went to the, you know what I'm saying? Like very clean, right? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the mind, right? We're trying to get the subconscious and the conscious mind organized, right? So the conscious mind, right, is going to be more of your security guard, right? So that's what we're assessing, right? So we're, okay, so the security guard, here's the tape, what happened, roll the clip, right? This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, right? All of that, right? So you're going to get all of that out. And just getting that out alone is very cathartic, right? Because so many times we have these relationships and these situations, and these circumstances and these feelings and, these thoughts and, how aggressive should we be? How direct should we be? How docile should we be? How passive should we be? There's all these variables, right, that happen in relationships. So it's a good way to get everything clear. So we're just going to write it all out like a movie script, right? And then you're going to put that aside, right? And now you're going to write all the stuff you absolutely have been wanting to write the whole time, but have been disciplined not to write. And this is all the story you made. They were saying this and they were doing this and they were thinking that, and it's just a whole, but most of it's not real. It's literally just the subconscious mind needing to spit everything out, because the subconscious mind, where the conscious mind is more your security guard, that subconscious mind, right, is your file cabinet, your storage. So it's got to go through and sift through all of the file cabinets to determine if this particular situation is safe or not. So we're going to give it all of that because it's being triggered by whatever this situation, circumstance, or event. So we're going to vomit our feelings about the situation, vomit our thoughts about it. We're just going to get it all out. Really, like I like to say, till your gas tank is empty, right? And so there's a very distinct feeling when everything's out, right? And sometimes I will not do it all in one sitting, right? Sometimes just to take pressure off my mind, I don't want to sit there and put pressure on myself when I'm trying to heal, right? So I'll maybe take like a few minutes now and a few minutes later and a few minutes in a day. I'll just kind of stretch it out to get all of it out. So there's no pressure about I need to get it complete. I know me from all years in academia, it's like, get it done, get it complete, and wanting to make sure that that's not happening here. This is not achievement. This is really kind of working with, and really working with your inner dialogue, your inner conversation, your mental diet, as it's called by Neville Goddard, really working through all of that, right? And processing, right? And so I use various different techniques and tools. I'm trained in clinical hypnotherapy. I'm trained in neurolinguistic programming. I'm trained in cognitive behavioral therapies. I'm trained in applied psychophysiology, mind-body therapies, all kinds of different things. And so, looking at the mind and looking at its relationship that it has with our emotions, and then how this interplay happens with our physical body and how our physical body manifests disease. So really very cool stuff that we look at. So I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes to kind of allow you to spend that time and reflect. So we've got our 2 journals, ideally, right? Our trash journal, our treasure journal. We're working in our trash journal now. Perfect. And movie script, write it all out, put it to the side. Then all the story and all the stuff you've been dying to say but haven't been able to, right? And this is just your opportunity to let it fly, but it's important that they're both separate because they're 2 different experiences. One is a very logical experience, one is a very emotional experience, right? One is what you're thinking about it, one is what you're feeling about it. So it begins to help you to build that self-awareness, right? When you start to separate that out. I'm going to open my door. Hold it. All right. How you doing? All right. Very cool. Yeah, so remember you're writing your situation, circumstance, and event. You're writing out all the details, right? Just like a movie script. All your thoughts about it, right? And not your inferred, implied, but just this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, this happened. What your senses are processing. And then how you feel about it, it goes separately. I can't believe he said this, and why would he say that? All the things, right? All the emotional things that we need to get out, right? And once we get all of that out and we get all of the logical things out, we just sit, right? I know that sounds crazy. What do you mean we're going to sit? Right? We're going to sit because be still and know that I'm God, right? It's not about fixing. We have to get out of this obsession with fixing and making things happen, right? That is using force, not power, right? I'm going to teach you how to stay in your power, not live in force, right? If you're living in force, a lot of times you self-abandon to try to force something forward, right? You're not living in alignment. But when you're living in alignment, it comes from a powerful position, right? So you don't have to go seek outside of self. It comes to you. So let's say if you want a resolution with this situation, circumstance, and event, you would write out the logical, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, this happened, right? And then what you feel about it, I felt this sort of way and that sort of way and that sort of way, and I can't believe this and I can't believe that, and all the things, right? And then you get it all complete where it's out, right? And now that it's out, right, you have a choice, right? You have a choice to let it go, right? You have a choice to sit with it, right, and wait till there's something else to be done, right? You also have a choice to forgive yourself in the matter, right? Notice I don't really say that there's action to be had, right? Because you want to wait for inspired action. What do I mean about inspired action, right? Okay, so before we get to inspired action, let's back it up. So you got to get it clear logically, emotionally. Step one, check, right? Get the gas tank clear. Step two, right? Step three, right? Now I'm going to decide, right? Am I going to sit with this, right? Am I going to let this go, right? Am I going to forgive this? And those are really like, the only, routes. I mean, because all the other ones are more of like, I'm going to push this away or I'm going to avoid it or whatever. We want to get complete with it in some way, either internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like I'm complete, there's nothing left there for me, or right, I'm open to new possibilities. But we're not making a list of all the things we need to do, right? We're just open to that possibility, right? Because what we're going to wait for is when we get inspired action, right? Inspired action is when we get that intuitive nudge, hunch, call this person, do this right now, talk to this person, etc. That's where we want to listen to, because that's going to lead you to the result that you want. But if you don't know what kind of result you want, whether you want it resolved, whether you want it to linger on, whether you want it to go away, right? We have control over it, even if it is with somebody else, right? We have authority to go, you know what, I'm going to get complete with this situation and this person, even if they're not willing to get complete with me, because there's ways to do that. Right? And we'll talk about it as we get into different aspects of the subconscious, right? So that is our journal exercise for today, right? It is a tool to really help you to be introspective and more self-aware in your situations and your circumstances. Often you're not just going to see it right off the jump. You're going to need to spend this time processing, and it's okay, right? It doesn't have to be resolved immediately. We're far too reactionary, right? Meaning that when we get triggered, right? Remember we talked about all last week in the primitive mind. When we get triggered, right, we go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? So we get really activated, and then we get into these old patterns, right? Unfortunately, these old patterns, where the short term, we feel like, okay, short term, I get a little bit of power, right? It's a false sense of power, right? Real power is sitting with ourselves, being with ourselves, honoring the other person, and creating a space for healing to take place for all those involved, right? So a lot of times for me to get to that higher state, there's a lot of raw emotion I have to get to, right? Because for me to get to the place where I'm willing to even go into higher self, right? And get me out of the primitive or the survival or the anger or the judgment or the, all of those more survivalistic emotions that we take on, right? Instead of getting into all of that, right? I have to acknowledge that, process through it, be willing to let it go and choose something different, and then go into. So there's a lot to this work. It is not just, kittens and butterflies and puppies, oh my, right? It is a practice, right? And it takes time, and it takes, some conscious effort. I always like to start my day like this, because it really begins me in this mindset, in this practice, and it allows me to really stay focused for my day, right? Especially too, this is a good journal activity to do like at the end of your day, because that way you kind of leave whatever is in your day. Now that's if you can complete it in one day, but I like to do that rather than going to sleep with all of this in my brain and then I'm dreaming about it and I'm ruminating over it all night, right? I actually want to input more of those positive things. So there's another technique I'll teach you, just we won't go through it because we're not going to sleep now, but what you do with this one, let's say if you have a situation, circumstance, or event and you don't know what the situation is, and you're looking for answers, right? You've mapped all the situation out, you've looked at your emotions, whatever, and you've asked higher self, whatever. Okay, so now you're gonna ask your higher self, right, for the answer, right? And don't be specific or anything. Just go, I give my subconscious mind permission, right, to find this answer, to converse with my team, whatever you want to say, right? Meaning like the angels, your teachers, your ancestors, your guide, God, whatever, all of it, right? So that way, right, as you go to bed and you're falling asleep, it's marinating in your subconscious mind, right? So a lot of times what will happen is that as it's doing that, you'll dream, you'll reflect, etc. But also too, you'll wake up and with a different way of being or a different way of looking at it, right? So that's a kind of a cool trick to play with. So all right, so now we're moving into our last part of our morning flow. So this part of morning flow is where we plan our day. So far, if you're just tuning in, wherever you're tuning in, we start every single day morning flow 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we start it with our movement, light movement. Then we move into meditation. We move into journaling, which we just concluded after that. And then the last part is planning our day. So I like to start off with a list of things I need to accomplish for my week. And then I will go through and chunk it into my days, right? And so today is Tuesday. Tuesdays I tend to work on financial things, right? Mondays I'll work on more operation things. So I kind of have a plan going in of things I need to accomplish. I write out my task list, right? And then I tell my time what to do. But before I put my tasks in there, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my food, right? So my eating in there, right? My breaks in there, right? I'm going to pretty much put myself and my human needs in there first, right? In my schedule first. All my human needs. Because we want to prioritize self and we want to make sure, right, that you are getting what you need first. So if you're not getting what you need first, right, then you're going to be stuck in that self-abandonment and that fawning and all of that we don't want to do, right? So we want to prioritize self and nurturance and food, maybe some exercise in there. And then once we've got that in there, then we put our family obligations, our friend obligations, right? Our work obligations. And we're really just building our schedule out, right? And sometimes we'll notice, oh, wow, I'm not going to be able to fit that in, or I'm not going to be able to fit that in. Or if you were like me in the beginning, I would pack everything in, right? Totally unrealistic. Throw it in there. Jump through hoops, jump through fire, do all this stuff to get through it, right? And then over time, I learned, wait a second. Maybe I should be nicer to myself. Maybe I should give myself more room. Maybe I should give myself more breathing room. Maybe I don't need to put my nervous system into hyperdrive with all these back-to-back things. Maybe I can give myself a little break. Because most people, what they do is they put themselves last, right? And then they get angry and disappointed themselves, right, for not prioritizing themselves, right? But that is not healthy, right? Self-abandonment and fawning and not prioritizing self leads to dis-ease, leads to self-neglect, leads to ... So that's why we want to stop it before it even goes there. We want to balance our mental health and different aspects of our mind and our emotional health so that we will maintain the actions and the behaviors of a healthy lifestyle to ensure that we continue to take care of ourselves. Because taking care of ourselves and our lifestyle is a lifelong practice. It's not something that just like, oh, I'm going to do it for a couple months and then Like, it's not a diet, it's not a fad. Like, this is how we want to be taking care of our body every day. So you may approach this, right? It may be a lot for you in the beginning, right? It may be too much in the beginning, right? But over time, as you begin to build those habits and break down, those steps and realign those neural pathways in the brain and retrain them, now all of a sudden it begins to become effortless. In the beginning, though, it has to be a consciousness, right? And then you have a feeling about it, right? And that feeling is either assigned negative or positive, and you have to process through either one. And then, right, that leads to eventually motivation, right, to take a new action. So there's a lot that happens in our decision making that is largely unconscious. So that's why I love teaching you guys more about consciousness and how to be more present and be more aware. Yeah. Yeah. So remember, as we're planning our day, putting our tasks in. I do this on a weekly basis, so it's really nice because then I kind of just already know what I need to do and how I need to roll with it. And I've got it all in my calendar already, and it's all lined up, and I give alerts, and it's great. So I definitely recommend you beginning to use different tools. Now, I'm kind of tool agnostic in the sense of, like, I've used a lot of different ones and they all have pros and cons. And so really it's just about finding whatever tool or system works for you, Some people just like the old school, like, pen and paper sort of thing. Some people, like digital planners. I like the digital aspect because you can set reminders and, alerts and messages and all kinds of fun things, right? But I still also have a paper planner too that I like writing things down. But it's more of like stream of consciousness sort of thing rather than, this is what I use every day. So, yeah, very good. Yeah. So we're just going to finish up our schedules. Yeah, exactly. And that happens a lot, especially if we've experienced any kind of trauma in the past. We're almost just conditioned to self-abandon. So that's why this is a very conscious practice, right? Where we're going, oh, and so also know too, just because you write it down doesn't mean it's going to get done, right? And so, there may be blocks to that. You may see, oh, I have my lunch break coming up. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to blow right through it. I'm not going to stop and prioritize it, right? So this is about really shifting gears. And if you've been taught and trained and conditioned as a child that your needs don't matter and that you're the last, it's going to be that much more complicated to transition to this idea that now all of a sudden, you're the most important in your world when you've been programmed to believe the opposite. So that's why I say a lot of us were brought down instead of brought up. So, yeah. It's beautiful today. It is a little rainy though. We're kind of in the chilly season now, so it'll be a little wet and rainy, but still, still like in the high 70s, low 80s, and it'll like have showers throughout the day, but most of the time it'll be sunny, so blessed and grateful. Oh, good. Yeah, I could never do the humidity in Florida. That was always the challenge for me. I like the dry heat, although being in the tropics, you still have the same kind of, but it's just different. It's not like Florida. Florida is like a blanket, like a big one, wet one. All right. So just go ahead and finish up kind of structuring your day, getting your day in alignment. And it's okay if you don't get everything in there, right? Again, like, it's okay to leave space. It's okay to leave room. It's okay not to know. But you do want to create a structure for your day. And maybe even still, if it's calls to you, you want to make an intention for your day. Like, what's a word for the day? So a lot of times I'll do, being productive, or being, being, focused, or being stable, or being secure, or being motivated, or being, you know, those sorts of kind of words around that. So that way I set that intention and set that tone, right, for myself to live into that experience all throughout the day, right? And so just by placing that intention, my emotions are going to get activated, right? And then my brain is going to look for tasks that I can do to keep myself motivated, right? And then as I start to get tasks accomplished, my brain gets a reward. It goes, oh, great, I checked that off the list. Oh, great, I checked that off the list. Oh, great, I checked that off the list, right? And so now this is positive affirmation, positive conditioning now, right? This is why we're talking about the biofeedback, right? Bio meaning body, feedback meaning the feedback we give. Oh, thank you so much, my love. So when we begin to do this, right, it begins to slowly move ourselves into this consciousness of caring for ourselves, prioritizing ourselves, putting ourselves first, setting these intentions. Because otherwise, if we don't really set these bounds with ourselves, the world is not going to. The world is going to demand and ask and feed, and just overall, like, really rude, honestly, I feel like, and a lot of lack of humanity, right? And so we don't have to operate in that, right? We can choose something different. I choose my humanity every day, right? And I will not allow people to speak to me inhumane, right? As a doctor, patients are coming to you and they're looking for help, they're looking for advice, right? But at the same time, I'm not a commodity. I'm not a walking encyclopedia. I'm not a fix me person. I'm not a mechanic, right? And so there has to be some humanity back and forth, right, when we're working with people. So I ensure, right, that I maintain my humanity by not allowing certain actions, allowing certain behaviors, right, or even myself feeling dehumanized, or feeling like I can't speak my truth, or say my voice, or set boundaries, right? Because if you can't set boundaries with people, or if people react negatively or poorly to your boundaries, those are not safe people to be around, right? And so just FYI for you to know, right, about being safe. So making sure that you do what's best for you. This is very much about reclaiming, right? And so it may feel very uncomfortable in the beginning as you're reclaiming yourself, as you're kind of pulling yourself back from all of the overextending and all of the overgiving and all of the emotional labor that you do for others, and the free secretarial work, and all the things, right? When we begin to start to pull ourselves back to self, and we begin to focus on self, notice this whole kind of exercise in the morning, it's all about self. It's not about the kids. It's not about the significant other. It's not about anybody else but you, right? And so I really encourage, especially parents, to do this for themselves in the morning, right? You would be so surprised about how well you can condition your children, right, to know this is the time that mommy, takes care of herself, right? So here's what we're going to do when you first wake up, you're going to do XYZ, age appropriate things, right? We used to have little snacks, like little breakfast snacks, and she could go grab her little breakfast snack and, watch her cartoons and kind of, just kind of chill and get herself started, where there's only like 15 minutes where, I'm finishing up. So when I was, I'm still a mom, but my daughter's an adult now, but when she was young, it was just like a lot of mad dashing and juggling, and so I wanted to make sure that I kept myself centered and balanced, because my daughter was so much depending upon me to keep my ish together, right? And if I didn't keep my ish together, then what was happening. And at one point, I was working like 3 jobs, going to school, and raising my daughter by myself, so it was a lot going on, a lot. going on. But so these are, again, the tools that I used and I go to really help me to stay balanced and stay in my spirit and in my body, and checking myself. I typically will do a morning flow in the morning, which is this kind of hour, the 15-minute movement, 15-minute meditation, 15-minute journaling, 15-minute day planning. But then in my evening, I will not reverse engineer it, but I will do kind of an abbreviated version. I won't do a whole hour, but I'll do maybe 30 minutes where I'll use my massage gun and I'll massage different areas of my body that are tense from working out or whatever. I'll maybe do some stretching, that kind of thing, breathing, meditation, and gratitude. So that, and also a little bit of journaling that kind of goes with the gratitude. So it's close to an hour. I wouldn't say a full hour, but definitely helps to kind of close out my day. So if you think about the beginning of the day is like preparing you for your day, and then at the end of the day it's closing out. So we like to create, and also if you download our day planner, or day planner sheets, like a holistic checklist, it kind of structures your day for you in a beginning, middle, and end. So the beginning is kind of your personal time, your meditation in the morning. Middle is like your working, school, children, it's all that time. And then your more active time in the day. And then your evening time is when you're winding down that evening routine for bed, right? So we want to structure it and plan it out so we can have our food, we can keep our bodies well, we can keep our minds well, we can keep our finances well, we can keep our relationships intact, all those things. So perfect. So just finish up, final touches on your day. And remember, this is kind of a moving document, so feel free to add more to it. And like I said, I have my digital one that's like really work focused. I have a paper one that I use just for home, and I'll scribble things on there because I'll leave it on my I'll leave it on my desk. So I'll scribble things like laundry or, sweep the floors or whatever, the household things that, I need to get out of my brain. I try not to use my brain for a lot of storage, right? I know that sounds crazy, seeing how I have so many degrees, but I try to, because I have so much education, I try not to store a lot of things that I don't need in my brain, right? Because it will bog my brain down, right? So things I don't need, right? Numbers, things I don't need, easy resources that I can look up, those sorts of things that I don't need to really keep that in my brain. I can create a document, or I can create something that will hold on to it. So yay. All right, perfect. So today I'm gonna go live again around 1:30ish in that area of the world. And today we're going to talk about perception, right? So we're going to get more into how we perceive ourselves first, because how we perceive ourselves is how we perceive the world. So we will discuss the role of perception. We'll discuss shadow work a little bit. We'll discuss a little bit more on the inner child. So definitely fun. Another hour-long chat usually, and I'll use slides, a little bit of a different vibe. And I have slides up, and we'll kind of go through and just talk about it. All this week, we're digging into the subconscious mind. If you miss one, you can watch the replays. Also, to check out last week's Primitive Mind. It's all streaming on my YouTube channel, along with all kinds of other content. I also have a few podcasts as well. And this week we launch our Wellness Collective, which will launch tomorrow. It's our group coaching program, very focused. We're just focused on the mind. There's a live webinar. There's also one that's pre-recorded. All the videos are kind of lined up. You have a workbook, all sorts of things, an assessment. So all kinds of fun things with that. I launch that tomorrow, so I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. We do, like I said, the live webinar you'll be able to access as general public. Link in my bio. I think it should be in there. Yeah, I don't think quite yet, but the checklist or planner I'll make sure that the link is in there today, because I send the emails out today, and make sure everybody's all together. So, all right. Well, I think that covers us for today. for our morning flow class. We did really well. I think we're ready to take on the day. Let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths as we close out today. Inhale and hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Very good. And last time, inhale. Hold. And exhale. Perfect. Awesome. Well, you guys have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. I will see you all later as we will talk all about perception and the subconscious mind. And I'll also